Andrea from AndreaTooley.com, and I'm here with another Email Monday where I answer some of your emails that you've sent me. So thank you so much for emailing me, and let's get started. So today's email comes from Elizabeth. Thank you so much for emailing, Elizabeth. And she writes, "Hi, Andrea. I am about to be a college freshman next year. Congratulations. And I'm thinking about majoring in nutritional sciences, minor in Spanish. Good idea. But I'm planning to attend dental/medical school, parentheses, I'm not very sure yet which one of those two. Haha. All right. Sounds good. Anyways, I adore your blog and your blogs. You are extremely relatable. Thank you. I have a few questions. Number one, do you think I could get in my requirements for medical/dental school with my tentative major and minor? Also, number two, do you have any tips on organization in college? Like how many binders to have, how to organize your notes, etc. I'm not very organized now, and I need to get that fixed before I enter college or I'll drown. Thank you so much, Elizabeth." Well, thanks for your email, Elizabeth. Those are really good questions, and I'll see if I can answer them for you. And if anybody else has good organization tips, leave them below in the comments for Elizabeth, and we can have a little organization chat. So first, we'll talk about your majors, nutritional science and Spanish minor. I think that sounds like a great plan. I've talked about this in my What's the Best Major for Pre-Med video, and I am a huge fan of Spanish or any other foreign language as a major. I think it's a huge asset to be able to speak another language when you're in medicine. I really thought Spanish when I was in Indiana because we had a huge Spanish-speaking population. Now that I'm in Minnesota at Mayo, we really don't have a very big Spanish-speaking population, but we have a huge Arabic-speaking population, and so if you spoke Arabic, that would be very helpful, and you could come be on my team because I need lots of Arabic speakers to help me out. So I think that those two majors sound great, and really at the end of the day, what matters is that you're passionate about what you're studying, because if you enjoy it and you're passionate about it, then number one, you'll do well because you'll care about what you're learning and you'll learn it better because you enjoy it. And number two, that will reflect in a medical school interview. You'll be able to talk about why you chose Russian history or why you chose nutritional science, and that'll make you more interesting as a person, and that'll kind of show medical schools what you're all about. So if you're passionate about nutrition, Elizabeth, then I think that that is what you should do. So great choices on your majors. Now, can you fit in all of the pre-med requirements, which would be biology, chemistry, organic chemistry, physics, sometimes calculus, and then sometimes some social science type classes depending on the medical school? Yes, you totally can. You might have to take some classes over the summer, either some classes for your major or some electives that your college requires you to have or something like that. But I think it's definitely doable, especially since it's one major, and it's possible that some of those science classes that are required for medical school might count towards some of the credit requirements for your nutrition major. So I think that that's definitely possible. And if you ever have questions about how to kind of make it all work, you can always meet with your advisor at college and kind of ask how you should schedule out your 4 years and kind of get a good idea about that. Or you can always Skype with me and we can make a plan. So that's always an option. You can check that out on my website. But again, I think it's a great idea. So let's talk about organization. Now, some people are super organized and are, very OCD about color coordinating and different colored pens and lots of binders and folders and labels and all kinds of things. And I think if you're into that, then you should totally do it. And if it helps you be more organized, then go for it. I'm more of a simplistic type person. I love all that organization stuff. I could go nuts in like an office supply store. Couldn't we all? But I don't really use it. It's just not as applicable for me. I don't have the time. I just don't. I have all these colored pens and they just sit in my drawer and I don't really use them to color code things. What I do and what I've done, especially in college, because you have so many papers and handouts and all kinds of things, and this really worked for me, and so maybe this will work for you. I had a spiral binder, just like a thin, not one of the thick ones with the multi-subjects. I don't know why I don't like those. I had one thin spiral binder for every subject that I had to take notes in. So I had one for biology, one for chemistry, one for physics, one for my English class, whatever. And you can kind of figure out how many you need in terms of taking notes. But that would help me not get confused about which binder I needed, because I knew that my purple binder was biology and my red binder was chemistry, and the notes were always separate and there. So I had that. And then I had those little paper, super cheap folders with the 2 pockets on each side. And some of them would have those little metal prongs on the middle. What are those called? The 3-prong folders, just paper folders with 2 little pockets on the inside to put papers. And I would have one of those folders for every single class. And those folders would just keep any loose leaf paper that was related to that class. So our syllabus, at the beginning of the year, any handouts or things you needed to have signed or needed to keep, there's always something. Any lab report requirements that are handed out, any homework assignments that needed to be turned in, any study guides they've handed out, anything related to that class that's a loose piece of paper goes in that folder. And the folder for me would be a mess. I wouldn't really keep the folder organized. I would just shove everything in there. But it didn't matter, because I knew if I needed to find something related to chemistry class, it was somewhere in that folder. And that's where I put everything. And I would even put my loose pieces of paper that I made for studying, my study notes, I would put them in that folder as well. And so by the end of the year, that folder would have tons of stuff in it. And it wasn't organized in any fashion. But again, it didn't matter, because everything related to that subject was in that folder. And that was kind of as organized as I needed to be in terms of keeping my notes and keeping all my stuff together. And then in terms of organizing my time, I always had a planner, and I was always pretty good about scheduling everything in my planner. So any kind of meeting, any test, any due date for any assignment, any social activity, whatever, would go, I would write it down in my planner, and then I would schedule out my days in my planner depending on how busy I was. If I really needed to crack down that week and get to work, I would schedule out everything even more intensely, and that really helped me kind of keep on track and keep doing what I needed to do. So that was organizing my planner. And then the last thing I organized, and my friend Brian and I would always do this when we studied. He did the dental school interview video with me, if you even checked that out. We would always make study schedules when we would go to study on the whiteboard. So I talk a lot about studying on the whiteboard, and everybody wants to know, how big is this whiteboard? I would always go to a classroom at school and use the whiteboards there, because I need a gigantic, huge whiteboard. These little tiny ones are not going to work. So the bigger the whiteboard, if it was a 4-wall classroom and it was whiteboards all 4 walls, then that's what I wanted. So we would go to the classrooms to study, and in a little corner on the bottom, I would write with my dry erase marker schedule, and then I would write 7 to 8 p.m. chapter 4, 8 to 9 p.m. chapter 5, 9 to 9:30. Starbucks break and YouTube video break, and we'd take a little 30-minute break and whatever, and then 9:30 to 10:30, questions from chapter 4 and chapter 5, and then go to bed. And that just organizing my studying would really keep me on track. And so that was something that I always did, because it gave me something to look forward to, in an hour I get to do a different chapter. And even if I hadn't finished the whole chapter, it didn't matter. I would stick to that schedule. So chapter 4 would only last an hour, and then I would move on to chapter 5 for the next hour. And I would just schedule it out so that I was always focused, because I get into this problem where I have so many things to study that I don't know where to start or what to study. Have you ever done that, where you're reading a book, and then you're well, shoot, maybe I should be studying this other book. And so then you switch, and then 20 minutes later, you're well, maybe I should be doing questions. And then you're just all over the place. And I've done that so many times. And so just having it all scheduled out and sticking to that and staying focused really helped me. So in terms of organization, spiral notebooks, folders, scheduling out my time in my planner, and then scheduling out my study time, those were my biggest organization tips. And it's pretty simple, but that kind of kept me on track and kept me where I needed to be. And so I hope that works for you. Thanks for your emails, everybody. I'll see you later.